Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our weekly Overwatch show. Still tentatively titled Let's Talk Overwatch, but I want to replace that with Let's Break It Down because it's a Lucio line and it sounds way better. But for now, let's talk Overwatch. I'm your host, Nathan Grayson. This week I'm taking the place of Kirk Hamilton, who's busy doing things that aren't Overwatch for some reason. And I'm joined by Cecilia D'Anastasio in New York and Heather Alexandra in New Hampshire.
Hello.
Hi there.
So, this week's topic is the idea of competence and how it sort of over time changes, I think, the way that we play various characters or who we pick. And so, what I want to start with is just a pretty simple question of, for the two of you, which heroes do you consider yourself competent with, and how did you sort of end up there?
Right. So I would definitely consider myself competent at Roadhog, but I didn't play Roadhog much until maybe a month into my time with Overwatch. I tried out a bunch of characters for a while because I actually started out, and get ready for this, playing on Xbox. I know, don't judge me. But, I mean, certain characters are better on Xbox, certain characters are better on PC. And when I started playing on PC as well, I found that, I don't know, just like hooking someone and then shooting them and then doing the punch to their face, it felt so good. And I don't know. I got competent in him pretty quickly because I started playing basically only him, and I dropped characters that I had been playing on Xbox, like McCree specifically. I just wasn't as good at him on PC.
And what about you, Heather?
So I also actually started off on a console. I played on PlayStation 4. I feel kind of guilty admitting that as well. So initially, just because of the way that consoles are, it's a little floatier when you're shooting. I played as Soldier 76 for a while, and that felt really good. That carried me through a lot of competitive Season 1. My ranking wasn't brilliant, but I felt okay about it. I liked playing as Tracer, and that was a little rough playing that on console, and I finally was able to get my computer working, and I made the jump over to PC. And once you have a mouse and everything, you like that character just explodes. Like once you're able to do fine aiming and moving, it's amazing. It's so much better. So I really, really have been playing a ton of Tracer lately. I feel pretty confident playing that character.
That's interesting to me because I feel like my initial approach was just really scattershot. When I first started playing, I sort of just grabbed whichever hero thought might be interesting to play in any given match. And I feel like when the game first launched, there weren't really many expectations on you as a player. So I felt comfortable being whoever. Whereas over time, now that the game sort of has an established meta, or at least like heroes that it's pretty generally known are good for certain situations, I feel a lot more pressured to stick to very specific lanes in terms of my picks because I'm afraid people are going to, yell at me or whatever.
Not even just that, but also specific play styles. One of the things that has congealed over time is that there's a specific way to play specific characters such that they're maximally effective in a team context. And I feel like early on in Overwatch's release, that was not as established among the community.
I think I think another thing too is some of it that factors into it is actually just map choice. So like I don't usually play McCree, but if I'm playing on Dorado or if I'm playing on Numbani and I have high ground, like I will play that character because I feel more comfortable playing that character in that situation. In other maps, I won't play McCree because I'm not able to do like the 1-2 flick of like shots that other people seem to be able to pull off. But if the map has the right sort of terrain, then some of that comfortability, that's not a real word, some of that comfortableness, that's not even a better word. I'm more comfortable playing a character depending on the map as well.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that's one of the things that maybe gets talked about less in regards to Overwatch is the fact that all the maps are also characters. So what you're doing, in essence, when you're picking a character is sort of pitting a character against a character. It's what does this character that I'm playing do against this character of the map. But yeah, I agree. Like anytime there's any sort of map with a point very near a big open pit or whatever, like Ilos or what have you, I'm either going with Pharah or Lucio because I get knockback. And so, like, why wouldn't you do that? Just wait for everybody to be on the point and then just give them a little push. But yeah, so the other thing that I was wondering is, and I sort of touched on this earlier, but when you're making those picks in terms of your own perceived competence, do you do it in part because you're maybe a little bit worried that other people will react if you're not playing well? If you're trying out a new hero, even if it's in quick play, and you're kind of, dropping the ball a little bit.
Yeah, so I've been trying a lot of Pharah recently, and I joke with my friends when I pick Pharah, I'm like, time for bad Pharah, because I have a friend, Dave, who plays good Pharah, very good Pharah. And so I feel like I can kind of couch the next, 5 minutes of playtime in the expectation that I will not be fully competent,
Heather, what about you?
For me, it's like a whole different class that I was avoiding for a little bit. I wasn't playing a lot of tanks. Except maybe a little bit of Zarya, because I think that Zarya is actually pretty beginner friendly. I started playing Reinhardt recently, and that was only in quick play, and it felt really messy, but also at the same time, that character has a pretty easy to learn rhythm in terms of what he can and cannot do. It's put down your shield, do your flame strike every now and then. I think the game is really good at sort of making you sort of ease into a character's routine. You might not be able to get it perfectly, but when you're moving outside of your comfort zone, you're still able to find the general pattern for not brilliant play, but at least play that does contribute to the team dynamic.
And it's more obvious when some characters are doing that than others. For example, you're mentioning Reinhardt just sort of putting down his shield and then hitting someone. I've been playing with a ton of Reinhardts who are just overcharging, and they are always the first people to get those players are the first people to get called out in group chat for being incompetent players. On the other hand, if I'm a bad Pharah and I'm just floating around up top, no one ever calls me out for missing, rocket attacks or for wasting my ult or anything like that, just because she's less visible and people are kind of depending on her less to push the payload and do things like that.
But I do think it's interesting because I think in those particular cases, people are maybe sometimes, like with Reinhardt, it is important to be good at him because, without a good Reinhardt, the entire team composition just falls apart. But I do think that people don't put quite enough emphasis maybe on the competence of characters who end up being further back or sort of out of sight and therefore out of mind. Because Overwatch is ultimately a game about area denial and occupying spaces. And if you don't have many people on the ground level occupying space, you're at a fundamental disadvantage. It's like a bad Widowmaker is going to be messing you up offensively a lot more than like a bad Soldier 76 or a bad McCree or something, because at least they're there. At least their body's taking damage. Whereas, someone who's way out there and not doing anything is effectively a player who's not on your team. It's just a blank spot.
I think that also kind of contributes to the way that the community somehow views Ana as a character. Just to jump into a weird tangent, I think people find it hard to play really effective Ana, but I think that's also because she's less visible and she doesn't have that big burst that Hanzo or other people can still get away with. So even though somebody could be playing a pretty good Ana and getting those heals in, and maybe even, hitting somebody with a sleep dart now and then and slowing down a push, it's not really visible, and then the people who do sort of pick her and stay back and aren't able to really pick their targets very well, that gets really easy to notice because they're not really helping anybody move forward. Incompetence is a weird word. It's more just that, I don't know, they're not necessarily where they should be, like you said, positionally.
Yeah, and I think those things do get established over time. People find the better spots, and then the information about those better spots for particular characters is communicated over time by way of everything from people talking in game to YouTube channels to tips, articles, and what have you. But the other side of kind of the competence coin, if you want to put it that way, that's horrible linguistic usage. I'm sorry, but is pride. When you get good at something, eventually, you have like this baseline of expectation for yourself. And so for both of you, when you're playing characters that you think that you're good with, how much does that impact your ability to like even enjoy the game? Because I know for me, if I want to be good, I pick Farah because I'm best with her of any character. And if things don't go my way, or even if they're going my way but not to the level that I think they should be, I'm immediately frustrated.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I've been saying, I've been playing a lot of Roadhog. I consider myself extremely competent at him, but if I just base so much of my self-worth and my enjoyment of the game on my hook percentage, and if I'm not getting those hooks, which, by the way, is entirely dependent, like you were saying, on the stage you're at, then I feel like I'm playing a really bad Roadhog. Part of why that's sort of fraught is because I feel like in our discussion of competence, one thing that comes up is what class are you playing? Roadhog, for example, is considered a tank. He's got a lot of hit points. He can heal himself. If he needs to, he can stand up front and kind of push the payload forward. However, as an offensive character, he's best sort of flanking and pulling people into spaces and then shooting them. And then when everyone's gone, he can get back up on front of the payload and lead it forward. So when I'm playing him, there's sort of this like dual ideal. Should I be up front? Should I be taking damage? Should I be a true tank like Zarya, for example? Or should I be on the sidelines getting that hook percentage down?
I think a lot of my personal enjoyment and pride has to do with what mode I'm playing, and I think that probably is the case for a lot of people. In quick play, like, oh no, there's another tracer. It doesn't matter if they're kind of goofing off. But if somebody takes my slot and I can't contribute with a character that I feel competent with, like in like a comp team where that character is locked down, then I start to feel really bad. And maybe, I don't say anything in chat, but there's a part of me that's just like, oh, son of a gun, you took it. You took it, didn't you? And I could do it. And I know, like, a part of me just says, I can do it better than you. But you keep that on the inside. You try and keep that on the inside.
Oh yeah, no. Anytime that, again, in last week's episode, my deep dark secret that I sometimes play Genji was revealed, and anytime that I see like another Genji on our team and there's for some reason still turrets up, I'm just like, what are you doing? Why have you not done your most basic job? But as a last part of kind of the other people being your hero thing, the thing that I've found that I do the most when I'm playing the people or the heroes that I'm good with is I go for the hero that corresponds to mine on the other team. So if there's another Pharah or another Roadhog or whatever, I will never let them kill me. And if I see them, then they become my priority. It's a rivalry that takes place entirely in my head. And I was wondering if that happens for either of you, because this is a thing that drives the way that I play all the time.
I can't believe you're that guy. I play against that guy all the time. Oh, man. I'm disappointed. Sometimes I'll just get out there as Farah, and then there's other Farah over there, and I'm just trying to do my job. And that Farah, she will kill herself in the process of trying to take me down and embarrass her team. Totally embarrass her team. Man, that being said, oh, man, do I just love killing the other Roadhog. Oh, man. I did a whole post about that, and it's only Roadhog. It's none of the other characters. And I thought it was kind of Roadhog specific because the hook is such a power move, And Roadhog's such like a kind of, he's kind of like a, I don't know, he's very dominant in his play. But I didn't know you did that with all of them.
Not all of them. Mainly just the characters that I feel like I'm really good with. Mostly Farah. Because, okay, the best instance I have of this was one time. It was a really close match, and on a Volskaya, or however you pronounce it, and we were at the last point defending, and the other team was pushing really hard and nearly had the point, and their Pharaoh leapt into the air and did justice reigns from above, and my ult was ready, so I just leapt up right next to her and did mine, and took her out like a second after she said it. So it's like, justice reigns from above, justice reigns from above. Took her out, and then took out the rest of the team, and it was so satisfying. It was probably the best moment I've ever had in the game, and I realize it was largely a waste of an ult, but I don't care.
I like it when I'm able to read another character's movement. So with Tracer, it's movement intensive, and the big thing with Tracer is recall. And for me, it's not necessarily a thing where it's like, oh, I have to chase you down. But if I see you make that recall, I'm going to try and read that the best I can. And if I know where you're going to be, like, I'm going to be there and I am going to shoot you in the face. And when I do that, I'm going to feel really, really great because I called you basically on your weird gameplay bluff where you were like, nope, I'm fine. And I'm like, instead, no, you're not. You're still dead. And I love doing that.
That is really nice. That's probably a good place to end, I think. So thank you everybody for watching this week, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.